hello to everyone who's watching. Uh, yeah, that's about it. This is... Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing, honestly, to be honest. This is just for fun thing that I'm going to start up. It's just a little fun KSP career mode challenge save in a install that I made myself. It is incredibly cursed, and I spent way too much effort putting all this together. And you are not... And if anybody's watching this and they want a mod list, yeah, no, good luck with that, seriously. There's 105 mods and like 2 of them are installed through CCAN, and I'm too lazy to type everything up. Plus half of them have custom configs. So the goal in this series, I guess, would just be to colonize most, if not all, of the habitable planets using self-sufficient bases. I am going to be playing with life support to add an extra layer of suffering to this. And I guess that's all I have to say for now. It's also kind of semi-realistic. Everything's scaled up 1.69 times because stock scale is too small and 2.56 is too big, and I'm too lazy to design anything to work with 2.56 scale. Let's just have a quick little look at the Kerbin system really quickly so you can understand what the hell happened to this save and what I've done. So a quick example, it also takes like a really long time to load. This is on my solid state drive as well, by the way. There's at least 100 planets that I have that are all concentrated within 3 star systems. All the star systems are all cursed in their own way. So first, this is just the Kerbal system. It's completely average, completely normal, nothing to see here. No extra orbital lines, don't worry about it. I'm not playing with telescopes or like research bodies because obvious reasons right here. Very obvious reasons. That's basically it. Also, actually, no, other worlds, we're going to probably delete that, to be honest. I don't need it. Just for a quick example of why this is slightly cursed. This is normal Kerbin, as you can see here. Pretty obvious. Normal Kerbin Astronomer's Visual Pack. It has rings, but that's already a normal mod. But then over here, you notice the Mun looks a tad bit different. Yeah, I spent a little bit of effort. I really hate the stock Mun, it looks ugly as hell, so I decided to spend a little bit of extra effort in making JNSQ's Mun, Je ne sais quoi. It's a fun little planet pack. I made the Mun from that planet pack, which was originally scaled to 2.7 times stock size. I slapped it into the normal Kerbal system and made it stock size. That took a bit too much effort, and then I did the same thing with Minmus. Minmus is also massive. You can tell 0.1 Gs. 270 kilometers, slightly smaller than the Mun. Probably gonna make it a lot smaller, to be honest. I'm gonna probably like make Minmus incredibly not dense or something. I don't know. None of this is final. Oh, also, just fun note. I'm not gonna try to spoil too much of the system here, but just for funsies, I also slapped in a couple of KSRSS assets into this. That also took way too long to do. So we have Mars and Duna in the same system. Duna's cool, but it's not that good, so I wanted Mars. I also have Titan, and I'm gonna let the bright minds figure out where that is. If anybody ever watches it, please, like, tell me where you think it is in the comments. I don't know. So yeah, this is Mars. Cute little moon I added in there, and Eternum from the Ghekta mod. We'll see Ghekta later in like a couple of episodes. I have no idea. Anyway, that's about it. That's all the things that I am probably willing to show you. You've already noticed how oversized the systems are. Like I said, I'm going to be colonizing most of the habitable planets, of which there are... Oh yeah, look at that. There's also a couple of other planet mods sprinkled in here, such as Edge of Eternity, Outer Planets mod. Let's see. There's also GPP Secondary, with Strange New Worlds accompanying it, which you can see by all of these wonderful little extra icons that I have in here. This star system is actually bigger than the other one than Kerbal, so I'm going to add a Minor Planets expansion to kind of even it out. And then I also have Garanus, which I slapped all the planets from Extrasolar around because Extrasolar broke, and as you can see, Garanus looks like a really clustered, ugly atom. And that's basically it. I'm now going to cut to a really probably crappy post-commentary of me talking while I'm doing launches and builds. See you then.
Alright, so here we've got our first build that we're making. This is going to be the very first launch, I believe. of the entire series, assuming I actually continue it. This is just a test video. It's most likely going to be relatively low effort. If I do it some more, I'm going to make the next videos like a lot higher effort with better commentary and stuff. This is my first time doing it, and I'm also sick, so don't be harsh about what I'm saying. I have no idea what I'm doing right now. So here, I'm kind of just screwing around with the parts that I have. I'm trying to make like a kind of good-looking rock using Blue Dog Design Bureau, but the only engine that I have that's like liquid fueled it's way too weak to provide any actual thrust. Well, at least in Kerbin's gravity. So I have to scrap that idea and slap a couple of smaller. Well, use a normal SRB and then slap a smaller one at the second stage, so I can get it to at least a decently high altitude. Jesus Christ, decently high altitude. So here I'm just tweak scaling some stuff. Yeah, that sounds really stupid. I don't know what I'm doing, but the build itself is almost done. I think that's the whole thing. And we're about to launch it at a little launch clamp. I angled the fins a little bit to give it a bit of spin stability, even though it's kind of pointless, because the fins already give it enough stability. And the probe core provides a little bit of reaction control. But it's a small two-stage rocket. It's recoverable. And yeah, we're launching it right now. I cut out most of the loading time. It maybe took like a minute or two to actually get to the launch pad because of how many mods I have. So we're launching it here. It's decently good. It doesn't actually get as high as I wanted it to. Like, it really underperformed, but the top stage is recoverable, thank God. The parachute doesn't break down due to aero forces and heat like it loves to do whenever I play the game otherwise. So it was a pretty successful first mission. The debris collided back with the ground, and we landed and recovered it to get a very small bounty of science. Here we got we're gonna spend it. Yeah, we're just gonna spend the science. I only got like 9 or so I think I only got one technology. I think it was advanced survivability, and yeah, I think it was just advanced survivability. I don't know. The video's going too fast for me to actually notice. I might have gotten basic rocketry as well, based on the engines that I have access to. Most likely did. So here we're attempting to make our first orbital spacecraft, as you will see by its name in a bit. Attaching a boatload of science instruments to it, because why not? And yeah, despite the name, Kerbal Orbit Yeeter, it's definitely not going to go anywhere. It's near orbit. It does not have enough delta V. This is playing with a rescale, like I stated earlier, and it's 1.69 times. Haha, funny number, yes. So everything's a little bit harder to do. Not too hard, but also not easy. Like, it's not as easy as stock. I'm grabbing some contracts here just to make this launch actually worthwhile. See, I still thought, like, when I was actually recording this launch, that it would make it into orbit. Usually in the stock game, I think this would probably be enough. But it clearly isn't, as you will see right now. Launch goes normally, provided with, I'm using a swivel engine because nobody in their right mind really uses Reliance. Waterfall gives it a gorgeous plume as well. I really love Waterfall, honestly. It's like one of my favorite visual mods. Here, yeah, you can already see this is getting nowhere near orbit. It's gonna do a pretty good suborbital hop, however. It's way up into space. I try to turn it around and bring it back to this, like, let it land near the space center, but it doesn't work. I don't have enough delta V for that. I got all the science I needed to, and luckily this thing is gonna easily be recovered. Jesus Christ. The first stage, we left it to fall back into the atmosphere. It's not going to do anything. I'm not going to be able to recover anything for a decent while. I'm nowhere near the technology needed. I need air brakes, like good landing gear, and pretty efficient, or decently efficient engines at least. This is just standard, like just box standard, like re-entry capsule and science stuff for early game. Yeah, it kind of crashed into the ocean there because I time warped too fast, so I have to quick save and quick load. Yeah, you can see how long it takes. This is sped up to 3 times speed, but here we go. I set the parachute deploy limit too low, so here I'm just fixing that. Everything gets recovered normally. It's all happy. Jebediah is alive. It's a nice little screenshot there of the mun. It's a custom mun, as I stated before. So yeah, we should try to get a surface sample, but then I remember I can't get surface samples yet. So here we go, spending some science to get a couple more nodes so I can actually get into orbit this time. I think actually my next rocket build, I guess I would say it's a build. It's going to be just a really quick, small rocket that'll bring, I think it's just to complete a contract, but here I'm adjusting a little bit of stuff because Community Tech Tree's a bit overpowered. especially with how many bodies I have that I can explore, even in the stock system. So I'm turning down my science gains a bit, so it'd be a little bit harder to do stuff. Here, I'm just looking through the contracts that I have available. I'm just looking through. I think I got the focused observation. Yeah. So I need to perform a survey from a spot that's actually relatively near the KSC. So I think yeah, here I'm just looking where it is. I'm dying right now. Oh my god. I'm not actually dying. I'm completely fine. I'm just cold, fever. The first time I got sick in like over 2 years, I'd say, due to COVID, and it's not COVID. So that's great. Right after I got back from vacation. Hopefully I feel better soon because I'm having to go on another vacation soon. And I really don't want to be sick. So here I'm trying to... yeah, this is a different launch. So here I'm trying to complete to build a craft that can, like, get to that little place. What was it? The survey site that I need to get to. Yeah, I don't have any aviation technologies unlocked right here, so I'm trying to use like gimbalable engines for control. It's a really bad idea, and it does not work out well. I'm just testing out different designs to get enough delta V. I would need a decent amount of delta V to complete this because I have to fly through the atmosphere, but I can't go above 17 kilometers to get the crew report, which I need to get the contract complete. So this launch, it doesn't really go that well. As you can tell, it is stable and it does technically fly, but it has no canards or ailerons or anything that can help control its pitch or yaw or anything other than the engine's gimbal, and that doesn't go well, as you will see soon. Here, this is kind of just a screw up. I turned way too early, and you can see me just barreling towards the center, so I have to revert to flight or revert to launch, and I'm gonna try that again. Like I said, that revert to launch thing took about a minute. I cut out like most of it, and it's also sped up. So now I'm trying to do it again using the engine's gimbal to actually get there, and it doesn't. I do actually get to what I need, but the thing is, it doesn't work out as well as I thought it would. So first of all, I get to way too high of a speed. I do need to get to a high speed though, because otherwise I wouldn't actually make it there. It would be too low, I think. But getting to too high of a speed also poses an issue with no controls. I can't really, I can't really recover the vessel, so I have to revert to the launch pad, not to the launch pad, to the vehicle assembly, and kind of just give up on this craft. Here, I build this off camera, but this is a cute little, this is just a complete contract, I think. It was just a launch a vessel into the air, because one of the first contracts, it kind of screwed up, and it didn't actually complete, so I built a really small, fully recoverable SRB ship, just to complete that one contract. It went really well. It's kind of just like a little missile. I guess it's like a sounding rocket to complete a contract. Here it's gliding down like it normally would. Obviously, I'm just running out of things to say, to be honest. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. This is a very long commentary, and I've never done this before. All my other stuff was live, and here I'm just talking about things I see on my screen. I'm not even watching like an actual stable recording of this. I'm watching it through the video editor, so everything's incredibly laggy and glitchy because it hasn't rendered itself properly. So it's kind of annoying to watch. It's not that bad though. Oh, goodness. Here I'm actually going to build an actual orbital craft that is going to work, hopefully. I'm just loading up the original Orbit Eater and modifying it, because I was too lazy to just build one from scratch, to be honest. See, it's called the Kerbal Orbit Eater 2. This one actually does succeed. I slap on a couple of solid rocket boosters, and that's basically the whole thing. I fixed around the staging, because that's obviously like the #1 priority. Those are really, I just realized how like absurdly long those nose cones were. I switched out the SRBs, I think, because the other ones gave me far too much delta V. And now, I think that's the whole thing. Oh yeah, I need to remove a couple of the parts. I was thinking it was one part too many by the 30-part limit. Yeah, so here we have the launch. It's completely normal. I'm firing the SRBs before the actual swivel engine, because the swivel, it consumes the fuel too fast. I think there's someone near my house, I don't know. So the SRBs, they burn all their fuel. They burn for around twice as long as the swivel actually does. The swivel, I think, has like 50 seconds. The SRBs have like 90 to 100 seconds of burn time. The swivel gets me most of the way. The swivel gets me into space and completes a good bit of the orbit insertion, but I'm still 1,000 meters per second short, which is what I have that cute little pug engine for from Restock Plus. Restock Plus is like an essential mod for me, like no matter what. I will never not play without it. Thank you, Nerdia, for like making all these great mods. Most of my mods I have are actually from him. Most of the major ones, anyway. The rest of them are Planet Mods, Quality of Life, or I think I have a couple of other non-Nerdia mods. that just add things from that just add a bunch of other small things that I would need for an interstellar colonization thing, like such as I have a what was it called? It was a mod by Linux Guru Gamer. Not a mod. It was a compilation of mods. I think it was SpaceTech's recycled parts. Yeah, it was SpaceTech's recycled parts. It adds in a bunch of nice little parts like Mark II, like a couple of Mark II cockpits, good like nerve engines, like a quad nerve cluster. And it's pretty useful. It also adds direct cycle thermonuclear turbojets, I believe, which are really useful for flying in atmospheres that do not have oxygen, which I will definitely need once I install my final interstellar mod, once I get to that technology level, which is Galaxies Unbound. Here, you can see I was trying to aim for the actual, for the landing site, but since I didn't have patched conics, I couldn't use trajectories to actually plot out the descent, so I undershot it by a crap load. So here it's a really scenic descent, I gotta admit. I really like where I landed. Messing around with TUFX because I'm trying to decide which one I like better, extra bloom or normal. I think normal looks a bit better, I guess, for YouTube because everything's a tiny bit less saturated, but like the colors pop out more with Zorg's TUFX. The normal TUFX just makes the stock parts look dull, and this it's restock alike, I would say. So the TUFX really complements it. So here we got a good amount of science from that 34. I'm just gonna look in the science tree. Realize that I don't have any actual unlockable technologies and cry about it. Here I'm just looking through the stuff I have. A couple of those engines are custom. Their ISP was changed a little bit because, more specifically, the beam core antimatter rocket, that was changed. Because the ISP, it's like 40 million or something, because I really don't want to have to deal with a crap load of parts. Here, I built this off camera. This is a nice little MUN probe. You're going to see the MUN in much more detail than when you did in the tracking station earlier. So this one, it's just a completely standard MUN probe. I did go for a solid rocket booster as the first stage because I just kind of felt like it. It looks nice. I've never done it before, and who knows, maybe I could use it as a recoverable thing later. I'm using one of Blue Dog's engines right now. Blue Dog Design Bureau. I really don't care much for historical progression, but the engines that it adds are absolutely amazing, especially the cryogenic ones that I'm using. I plan on making a lot of cryogenic landers, mainly because they have much higher ISP, and also they just look really nice, like when it comes to the fuel tanks. I have cryo tanks installed, and my nuclear engines all use liquid fuel, because honestly I really don't want to have to deal with high part counts. I have 106 mods installed. I installed another mod actually before starting the commentary earlier today, despite what I said earlier. Here I kind of screwed up on the map view for a second. And I still don't have patched conics or maneuver nodes, so I have to eyeball this MUN encounter. It goes decently well. Also, the center of mass of this probe is off, and that's not good. The Pug engine, it doesn't have gimbal, and the reaction wheels on the probe are really, really weak. So I have to slow down my time warp, and it's a lot slower. I did take a nice little picture right there, a screenshot. That's what all the GeForce stuff is. I use GeForce for my recordings because OBS doesn't work well, and I'm too lazy to set up anything else. Here, this is, yeah, like I said, it's all eyeballed, so I don't know where I'm going. I assumed this would be a pretty good encounter, because it's like, like 45 degrees or so, but turns out it really wasn't, so I had to do a quick correction. Jesus Christ. Also, for some reason, the periapsis node was a little bit broken, as you can see right there. You'll see it in a bit more detail in a minute. So, the rest of this is kind of standard. I'm just quickly checking my settings there. I'm upping the science gains to 80% because 60% is a bit too low for my liking because that would take a long time, and I removed a lot of my older Kerbin moons that I had in favor of like Kerbin not being too overpowered. Like, I used to have Pras from the Corellian mod. It's an oxygenated Duna-like moon. It's really kind of boring. I mean, that's the whole point. It's like boring other than its oxygen atmosphere. It's not enough to breathe like safely. It's kind of like on Mount Everest. It's like the air of Mount Everest, all that stuff. Taking a nice little screenshot there, heading back to the Space Center. I think I have another mission here where I'm building a plane. But Pras, it was orbiting Kerbin. I thought it looked nice for a sandbox save, but then again, when I started the series, it just didn't make sense. Because like, what's the point of going interstellar or even colonizing other places when there's a near habitable moon orbiting the homeworld? So I just decided to slap that around Corellian and just leave it be. There's another surprise waiting for around Corellian, so it's obviously custom made. Here I'm making my first jet. I kind of made it really poorly. It didn't go that well. I'm just looking at the tiny little SRBs from Blue Dog. They just look really cute, to be honest. This jet, it's really, really low tech. I didn't use tweak scale on the engines because that'd be kind of cheaty. But this thing barely had the TWR to get off the ground. As you can see, I think it's 0.55 at the top. Yeah, 0.55, and that's the base thing. I'm adding the normal wings. I decided to not use this design of wings because I didn't like it. The whole thing was a really poorly designed plane. It's specifically to get that contract that I screwed up earlier. So I'm using swept wings here, because honestly nobody ever uses those, so I just decided to humor them. I am using tweak scale on the tail fins and stuff, because they are a bit too big and I don't have any other ones that are good. Like I said, well, I may sound like a hypocrite for not tweak scaling the engines and tweak scaling the the winglets because it's a little cheaty, but just shut up. Just shut up. Here, I'm testing this plane and it gets really shaky, and I didn't realize this earlier, but turns out the wheels were like they weren't done well, so I have to revert to the spaceline hangar. I have to fix the wheels really quick, and I think this works. I think that fixes it. It should. Here, we're about to find out. Yeah, I think it does. So this plane takes off decently well. For some reason, I thought it would be a great idea to not include elevators or elevons or whatever the hell they're called, honestly, on the swept wings, because I'm not smart. So now there's a lot less lift than there should be. I'm also playing without Ferrum Aerospace. I don't have the patience for it, to be honest. With Ferrum Aerospace, this probably would have been a decent plane because it would have a lifting body for the Mark 1 stuff, but it doesn't, which is a bit unfortunate. So this plane flies. It can cruise at around like maybe 200 meters per second, I think. I'm heading for the contract thing now. It's where I screwed up with the crappy swivel, and for the crappy swivel plane rocket, this one can actually fly. It's really just an average. It's really average right here. Since I don't have the elevators on the swept wings, it's a lot less stable, so I can't really I have to have it perfectly level if I want to time warp through. Here I'm just grabbing the crew reports as much as I can. Not as much as I can. It's just until I actually get into the sector. I got into the sector. I completed the contract, I think, or I will in a second. Hold on. Yeah, there we go. So I completed the contract, and then I decided I'm too lazy to try to land back at the KSC, so I decided to go for the island runway. That was a pretty bad idea, but it does look really, really pretty. I gotta admit. I gotta increase the time of the daytime there is on Kerbin, because it's like 6 hours or something right now, and Kerbin's a lot bigger, and it just looks really weird because one orbit or one or two orbits is like the entire nighttime of Kerbin. So here I'm trying to land it, but crappy landing gear leads to some bad planning, and I kind of blow up. So luckily I quick saved, so I go for a water landing instead. and it succeeds. It goes pretty well. I do kind of crash face first into the ocean somehow, but it's not that bad. The pilot survives, Jeb survives, and everything's fine. So that's it for this episode, and I'll see you guys the next episode, where we'll be hopefully sending manned missions to the Mun.